yogis. This class is going to be a level 1-2 Hatha style class focusing on external rotation, mainly of the hip, but we're also going to explore how taking that external rotation all the way down to the foot can be a valuable skill and may bring more ease into external rotation at the hip poses in the knee and in the ankle and in the hip. So kind of involving all three links in the chain, as it were, and how that can bring some more balance through the entire line of the leg. For this class, you'll need 2 blocks. And if you usually need a strap to reach your foot in forward folds, you'll need a strap. Otherwise, you won't need one. Yeah. So before we begin and do our deep breathing and whatnot, we're going to explore this action so that then when we come to our Vrksasana for our deep breathing and centering, you can kind of already begin to find these actions all the way up the leg. So sit with your left leg can be in any shape, extended or folded in, and then hug your right shin in to your body. So pull the thigh towards you, and make sure that you're holding it such that your shin stays still. And then look down at your right foot and flex your foot. And then just pull your right toes out to the right, and then your right toes to the midline. And try to make sure that the shin bone, which you can feel with your hands, make sure that that's not moving. So you're only doing this action through the ankle. So the shin bone stays still, and you're just internally rotating at the ankle and externally rotating at the ankle. Do that a few times, really trying to work as deep into your full range as you can. And then set that down. Okay, now bring your hands to more like the back of your right thigh. And this time, take your left hand and place your left fingertips on the bone of your shin. So kind of palpate around, find the shin bone, and put your fingers there so that you can feel it. Again, flex your right foot, and this time the rotation is going to happen from the knee. So spin your toes out, but do aim for moving the shin bone so that it faces out to the right. And then rotating from the knee, can you get the shin bone to face in to the midline? Okay, and then do that a few times. So the first time I ever tried this exercise, it was like I was willing my shin bone to move, and all that would move was my ankle. So one way to kind of find it is to think, instead of moving the toes, think about moving your heel to the midline and your heel out to the side, and that might help you access this. But if you don't do this a lot, it might be something your brain is kind of having a misfire about. So just keep sending the signal and really sending the intention, and eventually the neural pathways will become stronger. Okay, shake that out. Maybe the front of your shin is getting a little bit warm there. And then extend your right leg out in front of you, just flat on the floor. Maybe lean back on your hands. Okay, now flex gently through the right foot, and now aiming to keep everything else in line and just rotating from the hip. So this time the shin bone doesn't move relative to the knee, and the ankle, the top of the foot, doesn't move relative to the shin bone. You're just rotating the leg from the hip, and notice where you feel it, where you feel the action coming from. And then pause with external rotation. So with your toes turned out to the right, pause there and just observe how far to the right have your right pinky toes gone. Okay, just observe that, and then come back to neutral. Now let's try involving all 3 actions. So this time, bend your knee slightly, and maybe since now the leg orientation is a little bit different, do the hip rotation one more time, just the hip. So turn it out from the hip and take a gander, look at your toes, see how close to the floor did they get. Okay, and then bring it back upright. So with a slight bend in your knee is going to help you find the action at the shin a little bit easier. So keep that bend in your knee a little bit. And now, trying to keep your shin bone still, maybe put your fingertips there for proprioception, just move from the ankle. So it might not be much without the shin bone moving. Try to pull the right side of your foot out just from the ankle. Okay, now move up to the knee and allow the shin bone to move out to the side. So now you're rotating from the ankle first and then from the shin bone. So you should feel some kind of warmth developing on the outside of the knee. And now involve the hip. And notice maybe how much closer to the floor did your right toes get. Let's repeat that experiment. So shake it out, just so you don't think it's a fluke. Put a little bit of a bend in your right knee. Flex your right foot. Do the rotation just from your right hip. So don't involve the ankle or the knee. Just pull your right toes out to the right from the hip. Really squeezing, really trying to get those toes low as you can. Notice, what does it feel like? And how close do the toes get? And then bring it back to neutral. Now do the ankle first, then do the shin, and then do the hip. And notice how much maybe closer. And also notice that the effort is balanced all the way up the leg. Okay, and then shake that off. And do that with the left leg. So come back up to all fours and grab your blocks. And place them on the medium setting. That'll be probably the best setting for most. If you are super tight, you may have them on the highest setting. It's just to kind of create more space underneath us so that we can move the legs around. So come to all fours with your hands on the blocks, hands shoulder width underneath your shoulders, and your knees hip width underneath your hips. So bring your weight more into your left knee and extend your right leg back behind you. Try not to arch through your spine, so pull your belly to your spine and just lift the leg. And feel yourself rotating from the ankle, so that the right toes face the midline, right heel out. And then from the shin, so from the knee, and then from the hip. So really spiraling that internal rotation there, and then lift the leg maybe a little higher. Inhale here. As you exhale, draw your right knee anywhere as high as you can get it onto the right arm. So the knee might touch the elbow, the tricep, it might be way down by the wrist. And try to get it as high up as you can. Keep the knee there and just bring your right foot towards the left hand block. And then bring it back, your right heel back to underneath the right butt cheek. And then again, send that foot to behind, to or towards the left hand block, and then pull it back underneath you. Maybe re-establish the sucking up of the right knee as high as you can onto the right arm. And then again, pull the right foot towards the left hand block. Set the outer edge of the right foot behind the left hand block, and then tuck your left toes and sneak your left knee back as far as you can go, and feel the stretch at the front of the left thigh. Okay. Drive the pinky toe edge of the right foot into the floor. Feel as if you could spiral that ankle open, and then find the rotation at the knee. So as if you could spin the right shin bone towards the floor, and then use the rotation of the hip to start to send the right knee towards the floor behind the right hand block, trying to keep your shin as parallel to the short edge of your mat as you can. Now your knee may come to the floor or it may not, but the activation is what we are after here. So now drive into the outer edge of the right foot and lift your knee up a little bit. We'll do that again. Spiral right pinky toe into the floor, right shin towards the floor. Use the hip rotation, so to spiral the right knee behind the right hand block. Good. And then inhale and pull your chest forward, supporting your hands on your blocks as needed. And feel as though you could pull your left hip crease towards the right heel. Keep that feeling of external rotation all the way up the right leg. So keep revisiting pinky toe, shin, knee, hip, and then breathe. Press the top of your left foot into the floor to activate through the left leg as you pull the left hip forward. So this is called Pigeon Pose. Breathe into your pigeon. Okay, now drive into the outer edge of your right foot and start to send your hips back as you start to straighten through the right leg. Keep your hands on the blocks if you can, although if you're less flexible, you may have to walk those fingertips back, and that's fine. but really just try to straighten through the leg as much as possible. Now we're going to re-bend the leg, but we're going to do it in a sequentially spiraling action. So spiral pinky toes towards the floor. As you start to bend the knee, think about spiraling the shin towards the floor. And then as the knee comes behind the right hand block, spiral the right hip up and out to bring the knee towards the floor. Inhale here, chest forward. As you exhale, drive into the outer edge of the right foot, straighten through the right leg as much as possible. Again, spiral the right pinky toe towards the floor, the right shin towards the floor, and then the right knee, and ending with the right hip, opening up, pulling the left hip crease towards the right heel. Inhale. And as you exhale, drive into the outer edge of the right foot and straighten through that leg. Now stay here. Inhale, come halfway up, chest forward. And exhale, fold over that right leg. Maybe straightening it a little bit more. And then while you're here in the forward fold, see if you can find that activation with a straight leg. So right pinky toe into the floor. Maybe feeling as though you were spinning the right shin a little bit out more. And then feeling as though you were wrapping the outer right hip towards the floor. Breathe. And then start to bend through your right knee, spiraling up the leg as you pull the right knee to behind the right hand block. Pull your left hip forward. And maybe see if that whole shape feels a little bit more full of ease here. One more inhale. On your next exhale, push into the blocks. Bring yourself up on your left knee. See if you can hover the right leg up and back. Extend it behind you, just kind of stretch it out. And then set your right knee on the floor. Bring your knees back under your hips and your shoulders back over your wrists.